Good evening, folks. Welcome to Week 16 of Midwest Fantasy Football. And as you can see, we've got a couple extra people tonight. We've got both Aaron joining us and Ricky. Thank you for helping with the weekly recap. There's the words I'm looking for this last season last playoff game before we get to championship weekend. So, kicking it off here, let's start talking about a couple of matchups. So the first matchup in which we're going to talk about is number 1 overall seed Lee. Cup my balls, knocking off my team. Detective Pikachu, 145.7 to 142. Who wants to go first?
Ooh, Jerome Ford.
What?
Jerome Ford. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. And so it was hard to bench Rico Dowdle after his 2 best career games and be like, yeah, no, he's going to suck this week. Well, that's the way it goes. So, how about Aaron? What do you got? What do you got on your matchup, Blake?
Yeah, so this one was obviously a lot of fun to watch, right?
Not as much fun for me.
Yeah. Lee had really just one really strong performer with Cook, bringing in over 30 points. Otherwise, Mahomes came in, about as expected, a little over 20. Had a couple, had a Cup come in under 6 points and still just, eked by. He's got a strong enough lineup to get enough points versus, Scott with Saquon bringing in 30 points and Green Bay's defense bringing in 22, which was a lot of fun to watch. They really just needed that pick 6 at the end. But otherwise, a couple players just coming in light, and that made all the difference with a 3-point game.
Well, I mean, Scott's total is skewed a little bit with Devontae Adams coming back from the frickin' dead and having 19.8 points. It probably made it a little bit closer than it should have been. And then the Green Bay defense having 21 points didn't hurt anything either. But both those things kept it interesting and made it a fun matchup.
Yeah. A couple things I could have done differently looking at my tight end spot. Kincaid, had I benched him in favor of Ferguson, that was 4.5 points. That would have been enough for the win. Obviously, had I put Ford in instead of Dowdle, that would have done the trick. Lee's team is number 1 for a reason, right? He is putting up this kind of numbers every single week. I was talking with somebody, I don't remember if it was you or if it was Nick last week. I'm like, I went and looked at Lee's games this year. He's only games he's lost, he's scored about 100 points. Other than that, he's put up at least 130. So if you want to beat him, I had to be over 130. And I'm like, if I lose and I'm over 130, I'm not going to be too upset about it. I had 142 points and I lost. He's a really good team. He's got it. I feel like it's Lee's year. We'll see what happens in the championship. So, congrats, Dick. All right, the other semifinal, we've got another really close nail-biter here. Will's Galactic Gibbs Gang winning 136.7 over Ethan's pretty good team, 132.8.
Well, Ethan getting let down a little bit by the San Francisco defense here. However, let's talk about Will's team, because he literally put the very best team he could have out there except for the tight end. Evan Engram, that's the wrong side. Sorry, never mind. No, he put the very best team out there he could. I knew that. He had nobody on his bench put up any points but his defense. So that I thought that was really good. Just the best team.
Can't you say that you put the best team out there when you started New Orleans kicker and he got 0 points?
Well, he didn't need his points because and to be fair, it was skewed a little bit. Ethan had Chuba Hubbard with 35.5 points. Although Will did have James Conner, who put up almost 30 spots. So.
And Gibbs at 28.5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Looking at this one, again, looking down the side here from Ethan's team, you got 25, 19, 10, 12, 35, 18, 14. Really, it comes down to your special teams. Got to work on that special teams. Special teams and defense let you down here. Kicker and defense, obviously. Both Niners. You live by the Niners, die by the Niners. And unfortunately, this time it burned you.
If he would have gotten Jalen McMillan in, that would have been enough. And if he would have played him instead of Cortland Sutton. But, he got 16 points, way over his projection. So it was the right play. It's just, luck of the draw, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. So, All right, so that was it for their championship bracket. Moving over to the deuce bracket, we got 2 matchups to talk about there. The first one, with the big upset, deucing in the Laporta John, Trent survives, gets a win, will not be a repeat deuce. I'm sure everybody's shocked at this. Only 2 wins the whole season, and then I managed to scrape one out against my buddy Aaron here. 148.1 versus Aaron's 125.7. Ricky, would you like to go first here? Let's hear what you have to say before Aaron has try to defend himself here.
I don't think Aaron has much to defend himself on, except, Jonathan Taylor having 42 points for Trent. Honestly, is the reason he's not going to be the deuce this year. So, good for Trent. Getting lucky with that. Also, you've got nothing to sneeze at either. You had Jameson Williams, who had, 29 points. So, you did, for the most part, put the best team out there you could have, except for Amir Abdullah, that was just a fluke performance. It happens.
I mean, it's really...
I think it's the 3rd fluke.
Yeah,
this year,
the running back situation in Las Vegas is tenuous.
Tricky. Yeah. I played him one week that he had that fluke week, so it's worked out for me once, but not every time.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, you would have gotten him in. You'd have had to bench DeAndre Hopkins and sub Jameson Williams up to your wide receiver spot. You're talking about a gain of 13 points. Wouldn't have mattered. Still would have ended up on the losing end here.
Yeah, I mean, no pun intended, but what really hurt this week was Hurts getting that concussion. Bringing in 4.5 points. That's still a concern going into this next week. But right there, that was 15 points. That coupled with a couple other things definitely could have made a difference. But yeah.
Ooh, Kirk Cousins, your backup quarterback, man. You need to do something about that.
We were just talking about that while we were unloading the Busch Light pallet.
That's right.
So calling out that one, we'll put a picture in here when I edit this later. In case you hadn't saw on Facebook earlier, Ricky last week, Christmas Eve, won Attica's customer appreciation raffle. She won 50 cases of Busch Light.
That's 50 bushels of Busch Light for those who speak in those
so
terms.
1,500 beers, which, as you now see on the screen, here's a picture of her sitting in her majestic throne earlier tonight. So that's why Aaron's here, helped us load all that up. So appreciate that from you. Too bad I couldn't help you get a win. So if you'd like, I can send you home with a case or 2 to make you drown in your sorrows. So. All right, and then the other semifinal in the deuce bracket, we had Chris and Tom going at it. Chris getting the win here. Minnesota Fanboy, 114.8 over Tom's, back to being mixed bridesmaid with 95.9.
Yeah, Chris had a couple real big standouts here. Jefferson getting almost 40 points, Atlanta getting 27. Even with Garendo bringing in 0 and Johnson and Johnston bringing in less than 5, it was enough to overcome Tom, especially with the way Tom's players were. Had 3 of them at 5 or under. Really only Derrick Henry put up any good numbers there. And I'm just hoping that he continues that trend.
Rick, anything you want to weigh in on that?
I wonder if he trades you Geno Smith, man. You need to consider
Trade
that.
deadline is passed.
Geno Smith's he's a free agent right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's an option. I wonder, is Penix Jr. the guy that they benched for Cousins?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's not supposed to do very well, though, either.
I mean, it's better than 0.
Yeah.
Well, it's the weather being bad. Derrick Henry, it was just fun watching that game.
Well, we can talk about that when we get into this week's previews, because those games have already happened. This is Thursday night. Stupid Wednesday football has thrown all the stuff off. So
yeah, I'm very confused.
It is all sorts of a mess.
What year is it?
All right, it is still 2024. Moving into this weekend's previews, so let's talk about championship coming up here. So in our championship matchup, the games have already started. We do have a couple players already going. The original projection was, I believe, Will's Galactic Gibbs Gang originally projected for 126 versus Lee's 117. With live projection, because we have printed this a day into the matchup, we've got a couple games that have happened. Will is still favored. He's got a projected for 135 to Lee's 123. So Will has gained a little bit more in his margin there for victory. So anything you guys want to weigh in on either of these games or any of the performances so far?
Yeah, that That's what it was. Yeah, okay. Just trying to remember all the football I watched yesterday. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes had a beautiful performance yesterday. They were having a good time, just
Whomping the crap out of the Steelers.
Yeah, they had a good time doing that. Also, too, Chris Boswell had a field goal pointed. That was nice for him. I was just seeing if one of these guys got Dicker, the kicker, but
No, the only kicker that's yet to go is Group A for the New Orleans Saints, who is likely to have more than 0 points. It is exceptionally unlikely he gets skunked 2 weeks in a row. You figure the Saints offense figures out how to do something.
Yeah, Bucker just looked really bad yesterday coming off his injuries. So
Yeah. Aaron, you got any thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, obviously Baltimore, right? Real strong start with that 31-2 win. Really helped.
Not a scoregami.
But-
Third time that's happened, apparently. I thought it was a scoregami, but apparently I was looking at the line as 1 point scores, which that makes sense why they were all blank. So,
But yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
yep, it's going to be a nail biter. Looking at this one, if I was picking some notable players that I think I'd be looking at, over for Will, I see Jahmyr Gibbs with the the Lions, having, I believe the Lions play this week against San Francisco. So we're back in that San Francisco matchup. I know that they're getting close to clinching the seed with it being Monday night. They could potentially already be there depending on what happens over the weekend. Like I believe if Green Bay beats Minnesota, then Minnesota can't beat them for that spot. So it might lock that up already, especially if Philly loses. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that matchup. Hopefully it won't come down to that, but you never know. The way things go, they certainly might be.
I would watch the Buffalo defense playing the Jets. They're only projected for 8 points right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being a lot more than that for Lee.
Yep. The other thing I was going to call out was Cincinnati wide receivers. We got Jamar Chase on one side. We got T. Higgins on the other side. So that will be a matchup to note. Who catches the touchdowns? Who hits the long passes? With the two of them, both being 1A receivers. Obviously, Jamar Chase is higher, but that could certainly decide this matchup as well. So. Third place game is myself and Ethan. I don't really care. We don't even have to talk about it. So this is one matchup that nobody's played yet. Nobody had anybody go yesterday on that matchup. Looking at the numbers here, live projections are pretty close still. It's 127 to 123. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, highest performing players expected to be Barkley at 22.
Yeah, if he continues to chase that record, I think that might continue to drive his numbers.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter for me after this week because I can't keep him next year. So, and it's only the third place game, so it is what it is. So.
You might be Devontae in the flex spot would be somewhat concerning because they are going up against the Buffalo defense, but
And it's at Buffalo, I see too, but I think the big thing that'll be the deciding factor there was what the weather looks like in Buffalo. But like I said, at this point, it really doesn't matter. Third place money is just a little bit better than fourth place money. So, yeah.
is it $5?
It's $25 or $50. I don't remember how much. It's got to be probably what your entry fee is. I think it's probably $50. I don't really remember.
Good thing I won use of Busch Lights, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah, Ricky doesn't drink beer if you didn't know that. So she won the 50 cases of beer and then doesn't going to drink any of it. So we're going to give a lot of it away or have a hell of a party.
I think
Or
New Year's
a
Eve is
little
going to
bit
be
of
fun
both.
this year. New Year's Eve is going to be fun. So.
You better start thinking about what you want to do. That's only like 5 days away. So, yeah. All right, and our last matchup, obviously the one that is the most important, is our battle for Deuce. Chris won this week and beat Aaron. Beat Tom. I was really looking forward to the Aaron versus Chris matchup, especially because Chris forgot to take out Isaac Guerrero. I'm like, the fantasy gods are going to punish that. He still fucking won. I was so disappointed. All right, so instead we're looking at Aaron versus Tom. The live projection on this matchup, because this has started, is projected to be 105 to 102. It was originally favoring Aaron by about a 5-point margin. That margin's kind of shrunk down to about 3 points. Not the greatest start with only 2 points from DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tom, on the other side, he's already won 3 players, so that's a little concerning as well to already have 35 points. So, especially your quarterback have gone. Any thoughts on this matchup?
Good thing Derrick Henry had a day to keep things a little bit close for you there, Tom. 27.5 points. I knew I watched him roll over people. Sorry, I was a bit ill yesterday too, so I snapped a lot. It was great. So
Yeah, a lot of this one's going to come down to what happens with Hurts. So I'm watching that. We'll see. I've got a few days before I might have to swap him out, but we'll see. Hopefully he's healthy and he plays and he makes the difference here. But
Yeah.
what is NFL concussion protocol? I'm just so used to racing that I don't know what yours is.
There's like 5 steps that they got to go through. It's I actually don't know what it is because it doesn't matter to me. But if you're concerned about the concussion protocol, go Romeo Dobbs style and wear the Guardian hat. Like it looks good and it will protect your noggin a little bit better. So
yeah, I know that him not practicing today because I don't know, the team didn't practice or something, so that hurt him in the protocol because he wasn't able to practice.
Right.
So at this point, there is still a chance that he will play, but it's a slimmer chance.
When is that game?
Sunday at noon.
Yeah, so there won't be anything necessarily decided for that matchup before then.
Right.
Where I got to play or no, I don't got to play. They can't rest him. So.
Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to call out here was an update on our IDP matchup with 2 weeks to go in the NFL season. Numbers are pretty much still trending the same direction. Scotty B, then me, then Aaron, then Tom. Tom's got 2 guys on IR now, so that's hurting him. I've got 1 guy on IR, so that's hurting me. Scotty B continues to seem to basically maintain his average right now. He's still ahead by about 50 points. And then I've got about a 40-point lead down to Aaron, and then from there, it is another 100 down to Tom because of the double injury that's going to cost you all day long. You're playing with. I think we were talking about it earlier. I think the decision is if we're going to do an IDP bet next year, we're going to actually just start from the beginning of the season and enable full on a league for IDP, which would be fun. So, all right, that is the last comment of this week. Does you have anything to throw in other than time to drink some Busch Light?
Probably time to drink some Busch Light. Yeah, that's about it.
Thoughts review.
Nope.
All right. Good luck in your Deuce matchup, but not really, because I would really like it to be you, so that you're here and I can make fun of you. So, because I will definitely send, if we get to have a video next week talking about you being the Deuce, I am definitely sending it to all of our CCs, because they've shared all of the fun video things they do. So it's only fair we share as well. So.
Right.
All right, everybody, have a good one. We appreciate you guys listening to us, and thank you both for joining me.